Hey, welcome to today's video on minor 7 flat 5 chords. I'm going to show you 3 places to play them on roots E, A and D, talk about how they're constructed, what scales they can be found in, and how they kind of function harmonically with some examples. This chord creates a lot of confusion for learners because it goes under several different names and it appears differently in music, which is super unhelpful for people new to it. So the chord sounds like so. This is an A minor 7 flat 5. Now we can call it A minor 7 flat 5, and we get on to why we call that in a bit, but it can also be called A half diminished 7th. You'll see it written AM 7 flat 5, A minus 7 flat 5. The other way you can see it is A, then with a little degree sign with a line through it, 7. They all mean the same thing, that you want to play this chord. Any chord you play is taken from a scale and constructed from the notes from that scale, so it's important to know what scales you can find this chord in. So you can find it in the major scale, so if you take the harmonised C major scale in 7ths, you get C major 7, D minor 7, E minor 7, F major 7, G7, A minor 7, and then B minor 7 flat 5, and then C major 7. So in a major key it is chord 7. If you take the natural minor scale, let's take the A natural minor scale and harmonise in 7ths, it's chord 2. So we go A minor 7, B minor 7 flat 5, C major 7, D minor 7, E minor 7, F major 7, G7, back to A minor 7. So in a major key it's chord 7, in a minor key it's chord 2. You can also find the scale in the harmonic minor where it is chord 2, and you can also find it in the melodic minor where it's chords 6 and 7. Which term do I like to use to call it? I like to call it a minor 7 flat 5 chord. There's nothing wrong with calling it a half diminished chord obviously, but I just prefer to call it that and be consistent with how I talk about it with other musicians that I work with. And let's go into the intervals of this chord. So let's take A minor 7 flat 5. So you've got 4 notes here. And if we played them in order on one string, so I'm playing A, which is our root, then interval the third, C, minor third, so A, minor third to C, up another minor third to E flat, which is the flat 5, and then up a major third to G. Now as you see, most chords are constructed in thirds, and no different here. So it goes, first interval is a minor third, the next interval is a minor third, and the final interval is a major third. So A to C being minor third, C to E flat being minor third, E flat to G being a major third. So root, flat 3, minor third, and then the E flat is called a flat 5. Why? Because in a typical A minor 7 chord, so this chord, we have E instead of E flat, which is a fifth, so we have A, C, E, G. So that's why we call it, a minor 7 flat 5. It's got the 7th, the minor 7th in it, which in this instance is a G, and the 5th has been flattened from an E to an E flat. So think of it as like a modified A minor 7. We've just taken that A minor 7 and we flattened the 5th from an E to an A flat. The difference being here's an A minor 7, and here's an A minor 7 flat 5. A minor 7, A minor 7 flat 5. It's that little bit more tense and definitely has the feeling that it needs to move somewhere, so it's quite a powerful chord. Diminished chords work in stacked minor thirds, so if you took A diminished 7th, you'd have the following notes: A, C, E flat, and G flat. And that kind of makes sense why it's called half diminished, because it's got 3 of the notes that make up A diminished, and then one is a semitone higher, so instead of there being G flat, we've got G. So instead of A, C, E flat, G flat, we've got A, C, E flat, G. And it's good doing this on one string so you can clearly see the distances between the notes, and so you can see the intervals more clearly. Yeah, you could look at the way it's called a half diminished chord is because it's not quite a diminished chord. It's got some of the characteristics, it's got 3 of the intervals, but a full diminished chord is built with 4 minor thirds stacked on top of each other. That's the difference in sound, one note. So moving on to the shapes, and I think a bare minimum when you're getting to grips with the new chords is knowing how to play it with the root on the E, the A and the D string before you move on to nice inversions and things like that. So we're going to do that. I'm going to put the shapes up on the screen, and you can find a PDF with those shapes on my website. Links in the description. I'm going to take B minor 7 flat 5, and here it is on the E string. So here's the shape up on the screen. So we've got fret 7 on the E string with the middle finger, nothing on the A string. So you know you're gonna mute that with the angle of the middle finger here. Don't have it so upright. Just sort of slant it down a little bit so it kills the A string. Then it said nothing on the A string, so you want that muted. And then fret 7 on the D string, and then with the third finger, and then little finger plays fret 7 also on the G string. And then first finger, index finger plays fret 6 on the B string. And again, the angle of that, you want to try to mute the E string at the bottom. So I don't keep the first finger dead upright, because otherwise we're going to get horrible clash at the bottom of E and F. So minor second. So we've got, and with any chord, you want to be able to mute the other strings so you can play right through it. So I'm muting the A and the E string there. Now, what do we have in the intervals? Where are they placed? This is worth learning. So we've got the root, we've got the 7th and A, D, the minor third, and the flat 5 there. You can hear that's the note full of the character of this chord. So F there. So it's kind of like an A minor shape with a note in the bass if you look at it. If you slide it down to open position, that would be F sharp minor 7 flat 5. Anyway, moving on to the A string. On this one we're going to play everything but the 2 E strings, so we want to mute the outside string, so we're going to play. So we've got index finger on fret 2 of the A string, ring finger, third finger on fret 3 of the D, middle finger fret 2 G, little finger fret 3 B. Now you got root, flat 5, flat 7, minor third. Let the index finger, you know, play the note on the A string, but just also rest against the E string so it mutes it. The index finger, also the way it wraps round across the guitar neck, mutes the high E at the bottom as well. So here's our 2 so far. And finally, on the D string, really like this shape. This is great for chord melody. So we've got fret 9 on the D string with the index finger, and then I like to use a flattened ring finger to do fret 10 on G, B, E. Notes we've got B, our root, F, our flattened 5th, A, our flat 7, D, our minor 3rd. So we've got our 3 shapes: root E, root A, root D. Great exercise. Use your circle of fifths, but go counterclockwise and sort of try to go to the, you know, take C minor 7 flat 5, then F minor 7 flat 5, then B flat minor 7 flat 5, and work your way around, trying to go to different roots each time. Like I'll do the first few, so like C minor 7 flat 5, so then F, B flat, E flat, A flat, and so forth. Great exercise for just getting those chords under your fingers. So what about the function of this chord? Well, I've got a couple ways that I'll share with you. In a minor key, it will typically operate in a 2-5-1. You know, in a major key, we've got the typical, you know, 2-5-1, which is minor 7, so D minor 7, say in the key of C, G7 to C major 7. Now, a minor 2-5-1 will always be minor 7 flat 5, a dominant chord which might be altered like flat 9 or sharp 9 or so forth, and then a minor chord. So if we're in the key of A minor, particularly using A harmonic minor, we might go B minor 7 flat 5, E7 flat 9 or E7, A minor 7. So like 2, 5, 1. So the minor 7 flat 5 chord, which sets up that movement to the E7, what's its function? Well, it works as a sub-dominant chord, so it becomes before the dominant chord. It takes you there. So typically in jazz standards or in any other genres, after the minor 7 flat 5 chord, you're very likely to find a dominant chord. And it's a good way to signal where the harmony goes, because after that 2 and then the 5 is crying out for the resolution to 1, A minor in this instance. So a good thing to get down with this chord, or a good way to practice this chord, is practice the minor 2 5 1 in every key. In a major key, say key of C, B minor 7 flat 5 is chord 7. Now here, it's often used as a gateway to get to the other minor chords within the key, within a sort of dramatic fashion. So let's say we're in the key of C major and I want to get to A minor, but I want to make it sort of really tasty how we get there. So instead of sort of, you know, C, maybe E minor, A minor, which sounds fine, we could go C major 7, B minor 7 flat 5, E7, A minor. So like so what that's done is, yes, I have put in a secondary dominant there, the E7, so a chord which doesn't belong in the key, but that minor 7 flat 5 here sets up this movement to the A minor, which has a really nice sort of flowing natural progression. What are the other minor chords in the key of C? D minor. So if I wanted to get to D minor, I'm going to use a 2 5 1 for that chord. So I'm going to go C major, and then I'm going to go E minor 7 flat 5, A7, D minor. The secondary dominants are typically used in a key to make dramatic turns to chords, and I could just go C, A7, D minor, which would be, you know, like that. But if I put that minor 7 flat 5 in there as well, it's a bit jazzier and it's a bit more tense, so like, yes, we've got a chord which is out of key, well, 2 chords out of key, the E minor 7 flat, the E minor 7 flat 5 and the A7, but we've got a stronger progression as a result. Let's look at some examples from some jazz tunes. So let's take the song Black Orpheus, or Manna de Carnival as it's sometimes known. Never sure which name it should be called, but it seems to have 2. So this is in A minor. And that's what the first line is. So it goes A minor 7, which is the 1 chord, to B minor 7 flat 5 to E7 flat 9. So it's a 1 2 5. So it's operating as a subdominant before the E7. It sort of works really well in a circle, this progression. And if you look at the chart of that song, later on in the song you'll see another minor 7 flat 5 chord, and it's not one from within the key, and it's what I just did a second ago. It's an E minor 7 flat 5, A7, D minor. So you got that. And then to again use as a strong way to get to another chord. These chords always signal where the harmony is going, so they're very important to understand. Key thing is to learn your 2 and 5 relationship, whether it's a minor or a major key. You know, in a major key, you know, a B minor chord, B minor 7, is going to be typically followed by an E7, obviously in that 2-5 progression. In a minor 7 flat 5 chord, it's going to be the same in a minor 2 5 1, sorry, but you're just going to make it a minor 7 flat 5, so B minor 7 flat 5, E7. Another classic example is Autumn Leaves, so the last bit of the A section. So we're in E minor, but we start on an A minor, so we're going A minor 7, D7, G7, major 7, C major 7, and then here we get F sharp minor 7 flat 5, B7, 2 5, E minor. So that's another good example of a typical sort of beginner's jazz standard, with this chord very present and very important in it takes you to that E minor chord. That's its function. Here's a couple of jazz examples from songs in a major key. So the second half of Donna Lee, we're going A flat major 7, F7, B flat 7, and here it goes G minor 7 flat 5, C7, F minor, or F minor 7. So I'll play that again without talking. 5, G minor 7 flat 5, C7 to get to chord 6 in that key of A flat. Another classic example from a great song from the American Songbook, Georgia on My Mind. So you get it straight away. So you got F major 7, then E minor 7 flat 5, which is chord 7 in that key, A7, D minor 7, you know, Georgia, here it is, da, da. You know, so that makes a really great movement to that D minor 7 chord. I mean, someone could have written that, they could have just gone 2 bars of F, then D minor. You know, that'd be a very, you know, obviously it would have none of that harmonic richness of the one chord, chord 7, minor 7 flat 5, secondary dominant A7, D minor. Another little cool thing you want to know about the minor 7 flat 5 chord is it's very closely related to two other chords. Now if we take B minor 7 flat 5, it's actually the same notes as a D minor 6. So B minor 7 flat 5 is B, D, F, A. And D minor 6 is D, F, A, B. So the same notes, but obviously in a different order. So here's a, you know, B minor 7 flat 5 in root position, and here's a D minor 6 in root position. Same notes, different order. So you could treat this B minor 7 flat 5 here on root A as an inverted D minor 6. So you could use it instead of D minor 6. What does this mean? It means that over a D minor 6 chord, you can play your B, you know, minor 7 flat 5 arpeggios. And over a B minor 7 flat 5 chord, you can play your D minor 6 arpeggio. And it will sound great. It will just be an inversion of those chord tones. This chord is also a rootless G9 chord. So G9 being G, B, D, F and A. So we've got B, F, A and D. If I added the G here, then we'd have a G9. So we've got a G9 without the root. So for those of you that know your blues, so Stormy Monday by T-Bone Walker, he would use this shape, this B minor 7 flat 5 here, root A, instead of G7 or G9. So he'd be like, so forth. Well, that's the end of today's video. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. You can do that by clicking up here, or why not check out a personal video recommendation for yourself by clicking up here.